5 important phrases that you should understand. Stick around for the end of the show because we're going to be sharing a navigate pro tip.
Pro tip.
I love that pro tip. It's a benefit. Who will benefit from this particular episode?
Realtors, landlords, aspiring investors. Our family, for sure.
One thing is knowing, the other is executing your knowledge.
I know this, but what does that look like when I do it?
Knowledge is half the battle. Welcome to the Navigate Property Management Show. I'm Ernesto.
I'm Judy, and this is episode 5. Together, we have managed over 2,500 properties, signed over 7,000 leases, and overseen over $500 million of real estate transactions.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about real estate and property management terms you should know and why you should know them. Let's go. All right. So one of the things that I was thinking about as we were preparing for this show, who will benefit from this particular episode?
I would say there's really 3 main groups of people that would benefit from this.
I know the first one for sure.
Okay.
Property managers.
No. I mean, maybe a little.
No?
But I mean, hopefully they know most of the terms that we're talking about today. Try again.
Realtors.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, speaking of hopefully they know, we've been doing this for quite some time.
We have.
There are licensed people who don't know.
Lots of licensed people
realtors
who don't know.
Yeah. Are realtors out there who don't know some of these terms. That's why this video is good for them. This show
That's
is
true.
good for them.
Yeah. And I think also the way that we use certain real estate terms when it comes to investment properties and property management can be a little bit different than what a typical realtor would use in residential real estate.
Yes. So the first big one is realtors. Who else will benefit from this show?
Landlords.
Okay, landlords for sure.
Landlords.
There are a lot of individuals who jump into landlording, right? Real estate in general, that just, they don't know what the terms are and what they're looking for. The big thing is, and how it affects you, if you don't know the term, it's hard for you to even look it up on it. Like, how do you Google something when you want to understand the process and also the execution of a process? So one thing is knowing, the other is executing your knowledge. Yeah.
Right. I know this, but what does that look like when I do it?
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
So knowledge is half the battle.
It is. I mean, and speaking of which, I would say aspiring real estate investors.
Aspiring real estate investors.
They know some stuff. They've watched the videos and seen the TV shows, right?
Probably go ahead and pause this right now and send this video to those people that fit under that category. I think
Realtors,
it'll be a huge benefit for
landlords, aspiring investors.
There's one more though, I think, that may benefit from watching this video.
Okay, who is always like, you guys just like walk houses and like,
what do you
guys do? Well, number one, our kids, but our family for sure. Mom and dad, this is what we do. This is how we do it.
Just so that when they hear these terms, right? They're like, okay, totally. I know what that means because Judy and Ernesto taught me.
Right, I watched their video.
What it means, So.
What are you doing, honey? Watch episode 5, Mom.
Let me text you episode 5 and make sure to watch the entire video because the minutes, I guess they say on YouTube, it counts.
That's true.
We're starting with 5 important phrases that you should understand. Stick around for the end of the show because we're going to be sharing a navigate pro tip.
Pro tip.
I love that pro tip. It's a benefit.
Yeah, it's mine this time. I have a pro tip.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Oh, wow. I'm excited now. All right, so let's jump into it.
The first phrase we want to talk about is property evaluation. I could share this with you. However, you have done, Ernesto, more property evaluations than anybody I know. The floor is yours.
The first thing is understanding the consequences of not sharing your definitions. And this is a big one for me. And this is something that I've continued to learn how to define on the front end because it's extremely important. As you're engaging with a potential client a potential listing opportunity, and even buyers that you're showing, right? Because not every property goes through an inspection. Not every property goes through an evaluation.
Right.
Actually, there was this one time where we had this client. We did the leasing. I completed the move out evaluation, or really the startup is what we call the management startup evaluation, where we go in and look at the property and just get familiar with the property. What's going on here? What kind of property is it? Do they have tankless hot water heater, or do they have a traditional hot water heater? Right? Where is the turnout valve? How many bathrooms do they really have?
Right.
Wait, is this addition included in the square footage? What a surprise.
Legal?
So the evaluation does help kind of cover a lot. Probably about 3 months in, the resident starts having issues with their electricity. So of course we assigned a handyman to get out there, and he's, listen, this thing is not wired up to code. I'm like, what do you mean it's not wired up to code? It's not wired up to code. Typically you need an individual amp or an outlet, right? An outlet to plug in your refrigerator that's separate from the other lines within the kitchen, because it's a powerful appliance. So that kept shorting, and I don't know exactly what happened. How long have we been managing the property? So we just started managing this property. So when I reached out to the landlord and I provided the estimate for the repair, he was extremely frustrated with me. He was like, how weren't you able to catch this on the front end? And at that moment I realized he thinks that we did a property inspection. So I needed to explain to him, sir, we actually complete a property evaluation, not an inspection.
Right.
And there are some property management companies out there and realtors that use the term loosely. They'll say property inspection. We moved away from that a long time ago because you can pay the price. It isn't a licensed practice, especially in the state of Texas.
So can you, Ernesto, do a property inspection?
No.
Why not?
I can't do an official property inspection because I'm not licensed in the state of Texas. So you have to go
as a licensed inspector.
You have to go through the process to get licensed, just the same way you would need to be licensed to practice real estate or be a plumber or an electrician, et cetera, et cetera.
That story actually reminds me of another time. Remember that house, that very similar situation? It was more than 3 months in, but we found out that parts of the house had been rewired with extension cords.
What's wrong with that?
Cheap! That's scary.
That's the investor special, Judy.
Oh, right.
That's what our landlords want.
Can they do it cheaper? Yes.
Safety and cheap, you know.
Yeah, makes me nervous.
They don't have to go hand in hand.
Right. Okay, there's inspections that are done by a licensed inspector.
Yes.
And then there's evaluation.
An evaluation is a walkthrough of the property. You're getting a sense of what's going on at the property, where the filter is. Is there running water? Does the hot water work, right? Run the dishwasher, run the microwave. The difference is that the inspectors are there to identify issues that are also unseen, right?
Right.
Things like how much voltage, ampage, foundation. In an evaluation, and it depends on the property manager and the property management company, there are things that we train closely compared to an inspector. So there are things that, and this just comes with the experience of flipping properties and things of that nature. So I'm familiar with going there to identify major issues. Roof, I can tell the age of a roof just by looking at it. The difference between settling in a property and foundation issues. That's another word we should define, settling at a property. We're going to add that to part 2.
We could go deep on an evaluation.
For sure.
Because a lot of times we do find stuff that we'll tell an owner and they're like, what?
Yeah.
I had no idea. And sometimes they even say, I didn't see that in the inspection. And it's because a lot of times we are looking for different things than what an inspector would.
Or they'll say the crack in my wall is normal. What about that one?
Oh, right. That didn't show up in the inspection 6 months ago. Anyway.
Make sure to define your terms, like I said, especially potential clients and then individuals, obviously, if you're listening to learn, understand the difference between a property evaluation and a property inspection.
Now, we do property evaluations during our second phrase that we're going to define, which is a turnover. What is a property turnover?
The moment a turnover starts is when a resident submits their notice to vacate, which is another term that we're just throwing around, notice to vacate, okay? A resident is letting you know that they're going to be moving out. That's what we consider a notice to vacate. The words do define it, but again, we use it loosely. and we don't really understand what that is. We require a 60-day notice to vacate. That triggers the turnover process. So the turnover process starts with a notice to vacate, a filing of an eviction, a skip, what we consider skip, where somebody just decides to up and out. Okay, those are the major categories. And then it ends when a resident moves back in. Okay, so that includes everything else in between, walking the property, a move out evaluation.
That was it.
You see that? So now you already know, boom, move out evaluation. A move out evaluation, running comps, right?
Listing the property for lease,
getting all
showing
the
the
photos.
property, doing the make ready.
The make ready.
I think that
another term.
Make ready. I think when our clients hear, oh, you're about to go through a turnover, the first thing they think about is the make ready, because how much is it going to cost me?
Right.
How long is it going to take?
Right. And is the entire security deposit going to pay for it? Which, by the way, one of the terms is security deposit.
Security
So
deposit.
we'll talk a little bit more about security deposit and what that actually means, defining that term. Okay.
Let's just walk them down the line because we're kind of bouncing around. But notice to vacate, move out evaluation.
I would say notice to vacate, a leasing analysis, to just kind of look at the comps and everything like
that
that. So you
does
have a
happen
good
before
sense.
they move out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. We're starting to work on the listing of the property even before the resident moves out.
Yes.
Resident moves out, move out evaluation, security deposit analysis.
Yes.
Within 30 days.
Yes.
After that, security deposit return. Then we have the make ready. Well, first we get the estimates, right? Then the make ready, leasing, new resident signs a lease, new resident moves in, your make ready's done.
Yeah, estimates, defining what an estimate is versus a bid. Right. Anyway, we're not going to get into all of those technical. We're just focusing on the 5.
Just 5. So many terms. We'll have to do this like 10 times.
We'll do a part 2 for sure.
Part 2. Number 3 is a lease renewal. A lease is what keeps your resident in the property, right? We enforce the lease. When their lease is ending, we do 12-month leases. Then either the resident is going to move out, or we are going to offer them the option to still stay in the home, but they still have to have a lease.
Yes.
So we will renew their existing lease or extend their existing lease for another year, as long as they have paid their rent on time, they've taken good care of the property, and they are able to, most of the time, they're okay with a slight increase in their rent. Lease renewal. If you want to stay in the property, which we hope that you do, you have to be under a lease, and we renew it or extend it.
That's good. That's it for number 3. I think that covers it. Number 4, we're going to be discussing just an acronym that we just throw around all the time. Let me look at MLS. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me go to my MLS to run comps. Okay?
Yes.
Tell us what MLS is, but before you do that,
Okay.
tell us a horror story, an experience, a perception, right? Because not everybody uses MLS, or not everyone has access to MLS.
My horror story has a name, and it is Zillow. Zillow does not tell you what your property is worth. Zillow is not going to tell you what your property will rent for. They make some projections, estimations based upon a very large area. But Zillow is a horror story, because what happens is 9 times out of 10, if someone comes into a lease, let's say, or an owner has a property that they want to list for lease, and they think that they're gonna get $3,000 a month for it, because that's what Zillow says, when they come and we're able to actually look at more specifically, not the properties that are just available, but what has actually rented around them.
That's right.
That can be a lot less.
And what's important to know, and you taught me this, is running comps is an art and a science.
It is.
So you need a brain,
You do.
not a robot. Not yet. I mean, listen, technology is moving really quickly, so
I know,
just
but
give
like
it time.
the whole AI thing, I really, in order to run good comps, and really, a comp is a comparable, by the way. Comps, comparable market analysis, CMA, right?
Actually, the term is comparable.
Comparable. It's a
Who
comparable
says? I don't
property.
think comparable is an actual word.
I feel like you've been waiting for this.
No.
Comparable.
There's levels to this. Everybody knows you're smarter than I am. Everybody knows I'm the looks of this show. You're the brains.
I'm the brain.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, yeah.
But the truth is you're both.
Beauty and brains.
For me, it's a blessing, obviously.
You're welcome.
Hallelujah.
We got cute kids.
Hallelujah.
We do. But yeah, comps are an art more than a science. And my horror story, that's not even a story. It's a horror movie. And the name of the horror movie is Zillow. Because Zillow is extremely misleading. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and just to stress this a little bit more, the reason that it's more of an art than a science is because the science doesn't really change, right? A mile's a mile, no matter if you do it here, over there, Texas, Florida, California, a mile is a mile. That's the science.
And Zillow doesn't see that on this side of the street, we have 1920s that are all renovated and cute.
Yeah.
And then on this side of the street, we had a bunch of tear downs and there's new build. They don't see
Your
that.
house backs up to a grocery store.
Right.
Okay, just so you know. I don't know if you know this. And the house across the street has a pool in their yard that backs up to the golf course.
Zillow, they don't do that. They're the science. We are the art.
That's right. All right, so Judy, can you define MLS for us, please? Because I know we've been talking about it, but what does it actually stand for?
So MLS stands for Multiple Listing Service. The thing about the Multiple Listing Service is that it is a private database, not like Zillow, that's open to the public. It's a private database that is put together and maintained by the real estate associations within areas. North Texas, San Antonio, Austin, they all have their own MLS, okay? Multiple Listing Service. And the only way that you can get access to the Multiple Listing Service is by having a real estate license or by being an unlicensed assistant to a brokerage or agent.
Yes.
So why do we have MLS? MLS is how real estate agents communicate with each other, okay? There's a lot of private details on MLS that you wouldn't see on any other syndicated website. And so it is protected information, but it is good information. And so that's one of the reasons that working with a professional real estate agent are recommended way to go, because you're going to go into any sort of listing or buying situation with the most knowledge possible based upon what is in the MLS.
That's really good. Let's go into the final stretch because we're here. Let's push through.
We're there?
Yep.
We made it?
Yep. So we're headed into number 5. Number 5 is security deposits, okay?
What is the security deposit?
I'm going to lean in for this one. Security deposits, a specific amount of money that is given by the resident that belongs to the resident. They give it to the landlord to set aside. Those funds technically belong to the resident.
If it belongs to them, can they use it to pay it off
No.
the last month's rent?
No, a security deposit is not designed to pay the last month's rent.
But it's their money.
And listen, that's a red flag. Don't do it, landlords, okay? Don't fall for the trap, please.
We have lots of stories.
Allocate those funds
Right.
for the purpose of repairs, damages at the property, okay?
And it's important that as a renter, as a resident, you understand this as well. That security deposit, though it is your money,
Yes.
it is allocated for after you move out of the property.
Yes, absolutely. Very important. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into the security deposit. That would need to be a totally different video. There's just no way for me to go through that.
Right.
It can get long, and there's a lot of consequences on not handling it correctly. We do have another segment that we go over. It's called the Navigate Way. Essentially, they're videos on how Navigate does their process or processes. Is that how you properly say it?
Sure.
How we handle our systems and
Processes. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I mean, comparable.
Comparable.
Define
Comment below
it. Define it.
if you think it's comparable or comparable. Comparable, comparable.
You're one of those people who call realtors, aren't you?
Realtor. Realtor.
Okay, so there you have it. The 5 important phrases that every real estate
Realtor,
professional
landlord,
should know.
aspiring real estate professional.
Yes.
Mom and
why.
dad.
And why.
Right.
And why. Why you should know them.
It's time.
It's time for the pro tip.
The
by
pro
way.
tip.
And
Okay.
Judy is going to bless and bestow us with her knowledge of the pro tip.
Here's my pro tip. So I talk to,
Who is this pro tip for?
oh sure, this pro tip is for aspiring real estate investors, even aspiring real estate property managers, leasing agents, anybody who's, I would really
Anybody who
like
wants
to
to
get
be
into real estate.
in the industry, yeah, for sure.
I'd like to know more, right? Real estate is one of those things that it's really hard to learn with a degree. You got to get in there and get your hands dirty. In fact, that's one of the reasons that more than half of real estate agents that get their license end up letting it lapse within the first 2 years or at that first 2-year mark, okay?
Yes.
Because you just got to get in there. So if you are aspiring real estate individual, my recommendation would be to offer your services as an unlicensed assistant to a real estate agent or a real estate brokerage that is doing what you're wanting to do.
Yes.
So a real estate agent that works with a lot of real estate investors, or a real estate agent who is an investor themselves. Say, hey, I'm just here to bring value to you, take me along for the ride. That'll get you access.
Steal all their knowledge.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
take it. And that's the thing. For most people that are in real estate, they want to share what they know, but they're not going to pay you for following them around. In fact, a lot of people charge people a lot of money to learn what they know about real estate. So offer your services, see how you can be of value, ask them to sign you up as an unlicensed assistant to their MLS access, because then you can start getting familiar with MLS, get in there and find out a lot more details about properties in the area, about comparable properties in areas you might be interested in. So that's my pro tip.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. That's such a great pro tip, seriously.
Thanks.
All right, guys, that is our episode number
5.
Guys, listen, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. It takes us a lot of time to work on this stuff. We love doing it. We love building people up. We love sharing our knowledge. We want you guys to learn from us. We're just sharing on how we do it and what it's meant to us. We've had great success doing it this way, and we'll continue to share the knowledge and also share any adjustments that we may make to our systems, our process, and our execution. I hope it's a blessing to you guys, and I hope you walk away with a win. Share with your friends. Remember the 3 people that we talked about: realtors, landlords, aspiring real estate investors, and of course your family, when they're always wondering, what exactly do you guys do? Also, check out episode 2, mistakes landlords should avoid.
5 mistakes.
And there is a part 2 coming out that we're working on that we will be rolling out. Massive amount of knowledge. God bless, take care. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
See you next time.